Hey, Jack. All right. You got this stuff?
Yeah. All cleaned in oil.
Oh, yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful. Let's get it on.
Who are these guys?
It's my theme music. Every good hero should have some.
Hot damn, it's time to get down to the jam. It's time to get down, it's time to get down, it's time to get down to the jam. I said it's time to get down to the knowledge, gonna get on down with the know. On the morning coffee show, on morning coffee with Keith, here on Pop Culture Minefield.
Excuse me, can I get a cup of coffee? Black?
Can't you see we talking?
White?
Good morning, everybody. It is Thanksgiving. Oh, my goodness. That one day of the year where you are pretty much guaranteed to actually gain a lot of weight. And depending on, how you feel about that, you might not care. How are you, Martin?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you, my friend?
Oh, wow. I got to say, man, there's nothing like this time of the year. I have always, this is definitely my time of the year.
It's good to know.
Well, I just don't think Thanksgiving gets enough respect. The Halloween people always make it all about Halloween, and then they want to skip straight to Christmas. And to me, that's just not right. You got to have Thanksgiving. In fact, that's what the world needs more of is Thanksgiving, because it's about getting together, being thankful and happy with what you have, and in my opinion, who you have in your life to celebrate it with. Not to say that Halloween or Christmas isn't about that, but that's really the root of what Thanksgiving is, in my opinion. So I just love it. Love the food, love the camaraderie, family, especially this year. So this is just nothing but just great stuff for me. So thank you, Shinatsky. Thank you, James, or JC as I want to call you. Oh wow. Just everybody here, everybody having fun, like Thanksgiving. Gap After Dark. Oh, I gotta say, I gotta say this.
Oh my God, Gap. I don't want to see that.
Wow.
No.
I don't even know how to respond to that. Are you speaking from experience, dude?
You do you, Gap, but I don't want to see it.
Yeah. Not exactly high on my list of things I would like to experience. First of all, I want to say I'm just thankful for those that have decided to stop by and spend a little time. Some of you have already had Thanksgiving. Some of you are getting ready to have it. Some of you have yet to have it. So whatever time you want to spend with me today, I am very thankful for that. Also, did anybody get a chance to stop by yesterday for my other twin brother's show as he was doing his 16-hour show? Robert Meyer Burnett.
16-hour show?
16. Yes.
God.
And he had some plan breaks in there, but he had it was to celebrate episode 1000 of his show. And his original idea, Mephisto, hey, how's about that? His original idea wasn't going to pan out because he was busy doing other things, especially working on a few projects. And so he eventually just decided to make it about the people that watch the show. and allowing them not only just to send in questions, but if you got a hold of him ahead of time, you could schedule to actually be on the show. So I didn't get a chance to try to do any of that yesterday because I've been kind of busy. But just ask and see if anybody else made a little time to go do that yesterday. But I gotta say, it's always fun and interesting when Robert Meyer Burnett is doing something. Hopefully I can get him back to come on and do this show again. I'm very thankful I got a chance, really an opportunity to actually be on a show with him. And he was everything I thought he would be and more. Of course he would be, because he's my other twin brother. So I gotta say, since our last episode last week, some things have been happening. At the top of the list is the graphic that has been put out there. It looks like the first one officially advertising the Harry Potter television series that's coming to HBO Max, or Max, I should say. I keep calling it HBO Max. And that'll be in 2026. Seems like, look, they wouldn't do that if they weren't hip, if not chest deep in the middle of all this. So they are casting as we speak, probably writing episodes. They're going to take all the books and they're going to take 10 years to tell the story. So,
what?
Yeah.
10 years?
10.
Woo. Oh my God.
Well, depending on what the ages of the actors who they are picking, since they're going to basically start all over again with the first book in the series.
Well, they may do something like Peter Jackson, Lord of the Ring, and just shoot the whole thing in one go and then distribute it.
Maybe.
Yeah, because man, you don't want to see 30 years old Harry.
Well,
no, he's still only 18. Yeah, right.
I think what it is they're going to try something kind of bold, which is they're going to try to take advantage of the fact that these kids, because I'm look, it would only make sense that if you're going to spend 10 years telling this story, your best bet is to find kids who are close to the age that they technically should be. But that also means you're going to have to hustle. That means you're going to have to spend time. You're going to have to shoot everything you need to shoot, take a little time off, and then turn around. And I do mean a little time off. Turn around and do it again. Because kids, especially between the ages of 8 and seemingly 15, they go through major growth spurts. Mm-hmm. So you're gonna have to do that.
Well, you can always hack their legs.
Oh, jeez. I think we're trying to do this without doing any damage to anybody.
Dude, with the mountain of money they're gonna receive, who cares?
Oh, wow. That's kind of expensive there.
Go.
Oh, I was just gonna say, when I first heard about this, I have to say that I was not that excited, but as time has gone on, I'm becoming more and more excited about it, mainly because everything else has been a failure. One would have thought that the rings of discombobulated poopism, aka the Rings of Power, would have been a good show, and it's not even close. You know, I mean, that's a disappointment. And again, I say this about that show. While the people working on that show will not admit it, I think within 10 years, it'll clearly show that that show was a complete and utter misfire. There is a way they could have done that would have made it not only fun and accessible, but there was a way they could have done it that would have totally have gone with what Tolkien had wanted and made everyone else happy. But because you're dealing with a bad combination of a whole lot of money, corporate structure, and really a sense that you can basically do anything you want, that's always a bad combination. Again, I said it last week, and I've been saying it for quite a while. The number one thing that is really hurting fandom is the corporate structure. Fans were always good. Speaking as someone that's been around a long time in fandom. Okay. I'm an early 70s fandom guy. You know, I cannot tell you, coming from that perspective, how upside down and backwards everything is right now. You know, and the thing is that these corporations can afford to hire departments, advertising and media, to basically sell the uninitiated masses on what the story's actually going to be. They've done a very good job over the last 8 to 10 years of trying to convince everyone that the big problem are the people who are the original fans of many properties, as they take those properties and stretch and bend and turn them around and make them virtually unrecognizable in 90% of the instances. And when they aren't successful, conveniently just blame the fans. I'm not saying there aren't people that aren't dicks. There are always going to be those people out there that are dicks. But if you actually believe the 99.9% of the problems of the fandom, you, my friend, need to wipe the Kool-Aid off your mouth and just stop. Just stop. Because you're part of that problem too. It's not the fandom. It's not. And every year that passes, as we get closer and closer to the entertainment industry being, quote unquote, done with fandom, as we get further and further away from some of the biggest misfires and we're able to look back on it objectively, it is starting to be shown that the problem was never the fans. It's the people that just cared nothing for the IP that they were in charge of.
Well, even if they cared for the IP, but they had another vision.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. Your job is to sell the product. To sell the product, you have to ensure that your current clientele likes the product. So even if your ideas are good, if your audience don't like it, still you are the problem, because you are not thinking about the objective of the whole enterprise.
That's right.
Pun not intended.
Well, I mean, that would be like the people in charge of Taylor Swift and Taylor Swift getting mad for people who aren't fans of her music. That's basically what it's like. You know, and that's really for any artist out there. You spend a lot of time, effort, and money in the recording studio, laying down some great tracks. You have a release and it doesn't do very well. You don't see any major acts coming out there and just blaming the fans of that act for their latest single not doing very well. But that doesn't stop people who make movies, TV shows, even comics, some literature publishers from doing that to fans of IP that they own. And people are getting sick and tired of it. As I started out saying, fandom was doing very well on its own for years before corporate media decided, yeah, it's something we can make some money on. Because almost two really to the best idea, they eventually infected, twisted, turned it upside down, inside out, and try to sell it back to you. And if you don't like it, then proceed to blame you for not liking what they're putting out there. I just recently sat through Quantum Mania. I didn't go to the theater to watch that movie, and I waited until now to actually see the movie all the way through. All I can say is I am glad I didn't pay for it. I am glad I did not go to the theater to see that movie, because I would have walked out mad. I love all the actors in that film. I thought they were all incredible. You know, given the first two films that they made. But that movie, that last one, was just dumb. You know, it's kind of like what I've been saying about the movie The Batman. I know there are people out there that love that film. I still think it's one of the dumbest movies I've ever seen, as far, you know, that has the name Batman attached to it. Penguin notwithstanding. Then again, as we've learned, that was a different group of people that did that. Matt Reeves is loosely connected to it, but it's got a different showrunner and group of writers. My whole thing is, if you're going to do the Batman 2, just allow the people who made Penguin to make that. It might go a little bit better.
My mic has died, and I hadn't noticed, and I've been yelling to the ether.
Oh, okay. Well, that seems to be something we're both into. Okay, what you got?
Okay, no, dude. Oh man, I'm so sorry you had to see that movie.
I had to. I
really
eventually had to, because again, I saw a little bit of it. I wasn't that interested, but I finally decided to sit down and watch the entire thing. And I gotta say, no, that was not good.
Before we continue, there are some comments that I would like for you to address. For example, Gap, he wants to know who Robert Mayer Burnett is. Not everybody knows who he is.
Robert Meyer Burnett is a... Okay, let's see if I can get this straightened up. He is a writer, producer, director, content creator. He was part of the... let's see. He was part of a group that had signed up to make a Star Trek movie, and that didn't go so well, even though what he did was fantastic. He really is a Renaissance man. And if you go to YouTube, go to Robservations or the Burnett Work, and just watch any episodes of his show. I will say this. Today's main topic for my show is definitely something that he could easily do on his show and do it way better, because he has access to a lot of the different people that are connected. He is someone that has been tied to Hollywood either directly or indirectly for almost 30 years. and worked on the documentary about the making of The Lord of the Rings. He went down to New Zealand while they were filming and interviewed everyone. He did a special interview with the cast of Star Trek The Next Generation and for one of their DVD releases. He's just cool, you know. And as I said earlier, we were lucky enough to get him on an early episode of excuse me, we were able to get him on an early episode of Pop Culture Minefield with Gary and myself, and he was just as cool as he's always been seen everywhere else. In my opinion, he's one of the few people who I could definitely say that if you're going to do anything related to Star Trek to save it or to improve it, he's definitely one of the people that you need to have working with you. His knowledge and enthusiasm of the Star Trek IP is legendary. And on top of that, 2 or 3 of the things that he's presented on his channel have gone on to really illuminate people as to what's actually gone on with Kurtzman Trek, the current CBS incarnation of Star Trek. In fact, he has known Bryan Fuller for quite some time, the guy who actually created Star Trek Discovery, but mysteriously was fired in favor of who they ended up hiring to run the whole thing, which is Alex Kurtzman. So there you go. I cannot speak any higher of Robert Meyer Burnett.
And that's a side note. Man, his collection. Oh,
yes, he has a nice collection. He's just the guy. And I'm a year older than he is, but he is someone who has just gone out, done the work, and met the personalities, and just is a cool guy to hang out with. I hope to catch up to him someday, and we could just sit down and have a nice drink together and just talk. I would really like that.
Okay, we have now from Gap again a question about the deal, the famous deal. And Wolverine says that it won't be finalized until
next year. Wolverine 66 is correct. It will not be finalized until next year. But there is a lot to that story that connects to many different things. All I can say personally is this. Compared to what has gone on in recent years, meaning over the last few years, I think this is a good thing. I know there are some people that don't. I think this is a good thing because it can't be any worse than what we've already gone through. You know, there are way too many people connected to a lot of these companies and corporations that somehow get the wild idea in their head that they can do anything they want, anytime they want, with no real thought to the consequences or the amount of money that they could cost the company, let alone whatever damage they could do to anything connected that the general public could see. I just think this has just been a bad era in the entertainment industry and in Hollywood in particular. This is something that I think once everything gets straightened out properly and we get everything back on track, I think this entire last decade will be taught in schools for years to come what not to do. You know, everything that led up to Warner Brothers being purchased by David Zaslav, everything that led up to Skydance buying out Paramount, the mishandling of IP like Star Trek, Star Wars, DC, Marvel, the complete near destruction of the entire the American comic book industry. This is just bad. It's just really, really bad. And it looks like we could be coming out the other side of this possibly. Wolverine 626 says RMB is wrong in the assumption that if you like the Lord of the Rings, you'll enjoy Wicked. Total BS.
I can see why. I like Lord of the Ring. I haven't seen Wicked. I have only heard good things about it from people that I respect. But man, I don't know. I'm very picky about musicals. So I'm not that big of a fan of The Wizard of Oz. I liked it. Oz the Mighty and Powerful for me was meh.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe I go and see Wicked and I freaking love it, or maybe I'm gonna go meh because all the singing and so I don't know anything about the story. So, but those assumptions are wild, are always wild. If you like this one, you will like that one. No, not necessarily.
Yeah. Look, first and foremost, it depends on whether or not you are very familiar with the original stage production. It ran for a long time. And again, I think that right there is one of the things that might help. It seems like people who were big fans of the original stage production have been a majority of the people who have been looking forward to this movie. That is to say that there aren't people outside of that who haven't been looking forward to it or who really, haven't for themselves experienced it and loved it just as much. But this was a stage production that was very well done, very successful. And I say for the record, and there still is not a film version of Chess. Just saying. A lot of you 80s kids know what I'm talking about. Okay? Chess. Want to see that. That'd be fun.
Well,
anyway.
Now that we're talking about decades,
yes,
Lord Thought and I are completely on agreement on this one. I miss the 70s, man. Don't get me wrong. I like the 80s too.
Yes.
And the aesthetics of the 70s. The music, the freaking cars, man. Oh.
70s was fun. 70s was fun. I came of age in the 70s. I a lot of what I remember from my childhood, that's pretty much the 70s. The television shows, the Saturday morning cartoons. Now, I do, however, have to say, I don't miss some of the trends of the 70s. Okay.
Yeah.
The polyester suits, the couples that thought they had to dress alike, the the whole affinity for wearing
too tight shirts.
Too tight shirts too. that even though they include all the buttons, are only buttoned just a little bit above the navel, so you keep the rest of it open.
Yeah. But girls look nice in that attires of the 70s.
Yeah, again, yes, the ladies look great, and I have to say the mini skirts and stuff, that was nice. That was nice. Shinatsky, chest fails and uses. I know, I understand that. Still think somebody could afford to actually, do that. I'm not saying it has to be a theatrical experience. You could even make it an event on Netflix. Just saying, it is everybody involved with that. Again, that entire album is just amazing, and the concepts that album talks about are just phenomenal. And I think it would just make a nice event to. I think it'd be something that deserves to be committed to film. That's all. That's just me. I know not everybody agrees.
Well, they're wrong. I think it's time we attack the main topic because
Yes.
besides that, we have a lot of news to talk about.
Yes.
So,
yes. And I will say this. This is definitely, I think I brought this up before. This is definitely a topic that I think Robert Meyer Burnett could get into. I don't know if he ever has. Hello, Lady Penny. Happy Thanksgiving to you. Big hugs. I really do believe that given everything that's happened, and definitely my sense of how corporate entertainment has ruined a lot of IPs, namely Star Trek in recent years. When I was reminded of this, I thought to myself, this would make a pretty good topic to do on the show because there are a lot to this. And I think there are things that have to be considered that if you are a fan, and again, as I've talked about this, some people either have a memory of having vaguely heard something about it or have no memory of it at all. So that makes it perfect for me to talk about on the show. So what we have here is a story. Let me take you back to the early 2000s. So early 2000s, and it's mainly it's 2004. And in 2004, producer and creative, two of them, Bryce Sabell and J. Michael Straczynski, put together a proposal for Paramount of a Star Trek series. Now, from what I've heard, this proposal came after Paramount had actually approached J. Michael Straczynski about running the Star Trek series, and he turned them down. his counter to that was a proposal that would allow him or allow them to do something radical. It's 2004, okay? So what these two powerful creators proposed was, instead of basically they were going to propose a new television series, and what they wanted to do was to create a television series set during Star Trek's original 5-year mission. But here's the catch. Rather than do what we have been seeing since 2017, what they wanted to do was to take the Star Trek that we all know, okay, and kind of encase that a little bit or shut that off, because everyone was getting older. And definitely now it's 2024. Everybody who even worked on the Berman shows are now people that are getting older. And they didn't know this back then, but I mean, to really balance it out, you have a lot of the best of Trek now is part of a period of time where a lot of the people who made it what it could be, both in front of and behind the camera, are older. And there's been a lot of work to try to connect anything new that you do to what has gone before. And that's a lot of work, because a lot of stories have been told. And what Mr. Zabel and Mr. Straczynski proposed was basically having a brand new version of that universe. I think it had been deemed, I think the way Straczynski put it, if you take everything from the original Star Trek series in 1966 all the way to the Star Trek, let's see, that would be Star Trek Enterprise's final season, and close that off, meaning no more stories, no more nothing that could touch anything done with any of those characters and plot lines, and instead started all over again in a brand new version of the universe. Basically and essentially rebooting everything and stripping everything down to its original premise. Now, Paramount didn't go for it. But I have to say that looking back on it, it looks to me that JJ and what he was attempting to do with the Kelvin universe kind of sort of flows in that direction, but it was done as an alternate timeline. And that what Kurtzman Trek has been doing essentially does the same thing, but they choose to lie to everybody. They choose to misinterpret how they do things and attach it to the original timeline. And then created, pumped up the term prime to make it seem like, hey, it's all part of this, which translation means they have nothing new to add. Or in the case of Kurtzman, he and his people just can't effing write. And they just want to try to slide all this in because they know that what they create on their own isn't that good. Mr. Straczynski and Mr. Zabel are both very talented and very creative. Both of them have multiple series to their credit. Mr. Zabel also worked on Mantis and Dark Skies. Dark Skies was his big show. He and Straczynski have worked a few projects together. Straczynski, of course, Babylon 5, Jeremiah, Sense8, and numerous other TV shows that he's worked on, including the 80s revival of The Twilight Zone, which, again, still has some of the best grouping of episodes for any version of The Twilight Zone outside of the original. So I'll begin by starting with the actual pitch itself, which states here. Okay, here we go. Straczynski and Zabel put it like this. Hold on, we got a question. Now, I like Next Generation, DS9, Voyager, Enterprise, but I kind of got fatigued when Voyager and Enterprise, because of the Berman era, they didn't put enough fresh stuff in Voyager. Yeah, you know, you were starting to get into certain things. Again, your New Frontiers is good, but you're still opening up the original universe. And again, you can't cross over the way that you can in the New Frontier books, because you're using characters. Many of those actors are now too old to be the characters that they were. And one major character from the New Frontiers books you saw was just casually killed off in Picard season 3.
Wait, Tom. Soran didn't kill Kirk. Kirk died by trying to fulfill his duty, retrieving the controller. He was alone on that bridge.
You're both right.
Only Kirk could kill Kirk.
Yeah, but you're both right. You're both right. The original version of that scene had Soren shooting Kirk in the back. And when test audiences saw it, they had to go back and refilm it.
Yeah, they like it.
So you're both right. You're both right.
Wait. Let me try impersonate Montalbano. Cock.
Anyway, let's see. It says start with the 3 best things in Star Trek universe: Kirk, Spock, McCoy. Put them in the most durable concept ever created in sci-fi TV. The 5-year mission, Star Trek. It is time to go boldly back to the original, the classic, reborn and retooled for a new millennium, applying hard lessons and building in new thoughts that shake things up creatively. It's time to take a real risk, to push the chips out into the center of the table, to once again put these incredible characters into play. Through their eyes, let's see stories about the human heart in conflict with itself, and let them express genuine conflict that can jeopardize lives and friendships, and take them on a journey that will shake their view of the world and universe in ways they could never have imagined. The main characters were to be familiar, but there'll be a little or no continuity with the adventures of the original television series. It's bold, invented, and rejected. So
I can go with that. Of course, you have to make some fine tuning on the dialogue, but just some fine tuning, one little
But
thing here, a little thing
I
there.
I get what you're saying, but I would rather they have all new scripts, and I'll tell you why. There is this really, really, really bad habit with seemingly with a few showrunners and producers out there, especially ones that work for major corporate entities, that they feel the need not to credit people who have had ideas that were more than useful to whatever scripts they've written. I can understand from a corporate point of view how you may not want to use a lot of things because that's more money that you have to pay out to whoever came up with said idea. Okay, I can understand why Disney, and in this case Kathleen Kennedy, went ahead and just took all the Star Wars material and just instantly turned it into Legends, because now they have a legal way to basically just poach whatever they want. But I think what needs to happen is that you need to have a new generation of writers who, first and foremost, are that good. And there's only two ways to get that good. Okay? Write your butt off. Just continue to write every day. And also work with the best people out there. A lot of what has happened nowadays is that a lot of people with experience have found themselves fired or moved off. So a lot of the quote unquote new talent haven't really been challenged. They haven't been taught how to do things. They've taken the few things they've learned in college and sort of feel that they know all there is to know. And that's the reason why the quality of a lot of this stuff is just not good. We need to go back to basically giving people out of college the opportunity to spend some time apprenticing to people who actually know what the heck they're doing. And being a part of a writer's room under J. Michael Straczynski, I can't think of a better way to go. In fact, that was the original idea for Star Trek Discovery when Bryan Fuller was running it. Unfortunately, when he got fired, Alex Kurtzman decided not to do that, and instead took some of that talent that he had inherited and basically used those people to basically become fodder for whatever things went wrong in the first season, 2 seasons really, of Discovery. And again, it's every time I think about the things that Kurtzman has done, and I do mean the things that he's actually done, it's cringeworthy stuff, man. I mean, he is in no way anyone that should ever be in a position to teach someone else anything, in my opinion. And he's someone who has a track record that, according to a lot of corporate people who want something to happen, he is the kind of person who will kiss their backsides and make sure that whatever they want, he does. The reason why he does that is that technically, in my opinion, he shouldn't have a career right now because he broke the cardinal rule of all writers in the entertainment industry. And in doing that, it cost a studio, the producers and directors of a film that he, air quotes, wrote, a lot of money, because it turns out that it seems to have matched something that someone else had written sometime before. And while there was no admission of guilt, as I said before, there was a lot of money paid out for not being guilty. And really, since that incident, there are other incidences, little weird things that have happened in connection to Alex Kurtzman and his ability to, quote unquote, be creative. One of those things even connected to Star Trek Discovery. And it's just interesting how in Hollywood you can hear about people like Weinstein or Les Moonves. How you can hear rumors about people. I'm not saying that his personal life is anything like what those guys did, but as a professional working, you do hear things. And all I'm saying is this: it's odd, truly odd, that someone who seems to have a lot of trouble being original has no real problems coming up with the names of other people whose fault it is for whatever he's responsible for not being that good. Let's see. Gap After Dark. Have they canceled Star Trek Strange New Worlds yet? No, they haven't canceled it yet. But the new owner of Paramount is not a fan of Alex Kurtzman and J.J. Abrams.
Wonder why.
Yeah, I know. Star Trek really does need... Hold on, Gap After Dark. Another question. What's going on with Starfleet Academy and Section 31? Section 31 is going to be something that Paramount is going to show. It's a Paramount Plus thing. As Wolverine 66 is saying. There seems to be some dispute as to whether or not Starfleet Academy has actually gone into production. There's a lot of conflicting reports. You've heard a lot about people who have been cast. Being cast has nothing to do with starting production and starting filming. At this point, I really do believe that David Ellison, his dad, and all of the financial people connected to everything that's going on with them assuming control, full control of the Paramount Global company, which includes CBS. I think they're getting close to reaching a way out of the contract that Alex Kurtzman has that has allowed him to remain untouchable. I know, like a lot of other people, for years, people have thought that people like Kathleen Kennedy and Alex Kurtzman must have blackmail material. And it's becoming more and more clear that it's not so much they have blackmail material, they have these really solid contracts. And I think David Ellison might get to a point to where he'll just say, F it, pay him the money, kick his out, and let's get back to the business of trying to turn this IP into something good. And you kind of see that with the Captain Falcon America movie that they continue to have problems with. I think the latest rumor is that with the amount of money they've already spent now on that film, everybody pretty much is basically saying the quiet part out loud in hushed tones. This movie's a lost cause. There is nothing really that you can do to improve it because the structure that you're building on wasn't very good in the first place. I feel really bad for Anthony Mackie because I find him to be an incredible performer. I believe he, Mahershala Ali, and others deserve way more better. I mean, it's just awful. Personally, and this is going to sound kind of bad, I believe that Anthony Mackie and Sebastian Stan should not be anywhere near the Thunderbolts. I think he works better with Mackie. I think the two of them have chemistry. That's something that you can't replicate. And I believe that they should just go ahead and make Falcon and Winter Soldier projects. That's all they should do. The whole Captain America thing, that thing did not work in the comics when they did that with Falcon. In fact, they've stopped that experiment. It didn't last very many issues. So the whole argument is that we're doing what the comic books do. Yeah, it didn't work in the comics.
Yes,
so
you're going to
what are you doing?
like the comic.
In fact, a lot of the worst ideas that Kevin Feige has overseen with the MCU films and shows have been based on concepts that did not work in the comics. So this whole thing of saying, hey, we're actually doing what they did in the comics, it doesn't help. Your clue as to whether or not this is a good idea is it isn't that if it appeared in comics. The question should be is, did it work in the comics? If the answer is no, don't do it. Kevin Feige, it's kind of like Q-tips.
Okay, I need an explanation of that.
When you stick it in your ear, when it meets resistance, you got to stop. You don't keep pushing it in.
I like that one. I'm gonna begin using it in my life.
Yeah, my twin brother and I have been saying that one for years. When the Q-tip meets resistance, you got to stop. But yes, Wolverine 626, it does not automatically make it good. It doesn't. But I also believe that you should also look at how it was received. There are some ideas that were decently received. There are some ideas that were just flat out rejected. You could do a lot of things, but it doesn't necessarily mean that that's going to go. Again, I don't know Kevin Feige. Okay, I've never met the man. I'm in awe of what he was able to put together. But a lot of what I'm seeing pretty much calls for me to praise a lot of the work that he's done in the past. Because I'm not seeing anything in the future that is worthy of praise at this point. There have been way too many mistakes. And personally, if Kevin Feige was as much of a fan as he likes to tell people, my whole thing is, why didn't he just stop with this whole running all of Marvel and just go back to concentrating on just the films? Just the films. If you go back and you look at when the MCU was doing fantastic, that was back when Kevin Feige only ran the movies. Only. I think everybody can agree. Even with the stuff they did not like with Iron Fist, that on the whole, everything they ran on Netflix was way better than the Disney Plus stuff. Just way better. And that had nothing to do with Kevin Feige at all. He had nothing at all to do with any of it. If you want to go back to what you were doing, then go back to doing what you did. That's it. Start from there. Don't do it with a spin or a twist. Don't try your own approximate version. All of these people have the power to do that. I mean, again, Kevin Feige, I don't know what his situation is. He's made a lot of money. It's not like he's going to go broke anytime soon. But I think he should just concentrate just on the movies. And again, that's nothing against him as a person. And that's really not even that much against him as a producer. You know, you need to get back to having some multiple wins under your belt. She-Hulk, that was a misstep. And I believe that a lot of the ideas that went into giving certain characters Disney Plus original shows was not a good idea. You know, certain ideas probably should have just been done a different way. But nothing really that spectacular. Agatha all along, snooze fest. You know, I'm sure there are people that were really excited about that show. But yeah, hold on. Gap After Dark ask, I have a question. You mentioned casting for Starfleet Academy. If you get cast in a TV or movie, do you get paid some kind of compensation until filming starts? It depends. It depends on what you negotiate. And this is also something that I learned from my other twin brother. Because he has a saying that this is not show friends, but show business. You don't get what you deserve. You get what you negotiate. If it's in your contract, you get it. If you don't, you won't. And that's the way it works. Again, thank you, Robert Meyer Burnett. Anyway, getting back to Star Trek, the reboot. Basically, Straczynski and Zabel were able to work out rebooting everything. I mean, down to even the technology. So you're not just taking, you know, what had been done in episodes of Next Gen and all that other stuff. What I'm talking about is taking it right back to the original 5-year series and just sort of not using any of the stuff. In other words, if you decide to follow this advice, we will see the end of Captain Picard and his crew, the DS9 crew, the Voyager crew, and the Enterprise crew. And we will instead start again with how everything started. And this time, casting, bringing in characters, and not being beholden to what they actually wrote for the new show, but using the bare bones of what Roddenberry had put together to create a brand new version of Star Trek that is its own separate universe of possibilities. Technically, Strange New Worlds, if CBS and Kurtzman were smart, they should go ahead and release a statement tomorrow saying, hey guys, we effed up. All of this is really its own separate universe. I guarantee you they would get back at least a quarter of the original audience almost overnight who would actually give Strange New Worlds an opportunity. They would try to sit down and watch an entire season.
They won't because they'd lose face.
Not really. I mean, if you make it into something to where it's its own universe, meaning that you're not trying to redo the original series anymore, like they have up to now. Because that's the one thing I at least got to give Akiva Goldsman, is at least been honest enough to go to the media and say, yeah, we're changing stuff. He admitted that. Along with saying that when we do these changes, not only are we making it better, they're also official. They overwrite even the stuff that Gene Roddenberry created. Ladies and gentlemen, Akiva Goldsman.
Boo. Boo.
So the biggest problem that Kurtzman talked about, that he said the writers didn't like, of which Akiva Goldsman worked on Discovery's first 2 seasons, so he's a part of all that, is they hated things like the Prime Directive. They didn't like a lot of the rules of the Prime Directive because it bound their hands in situations where they really thought that they should go off and do their own thing. And as I said, even back then when Gary and I talked about it, if that's your problem, what you need is a whole new show. You shouldn't even be messing with the original timeline. That just sounds like you want to go off and do your own thing. Nice, again, I even said back then, why don't they just go ahead and say that this is a different universe? That way, you're not, those of you who are fans of Star Trek Strange New Worlds, you won't have to really be beholden to the timeline of events, even for a character like Pike. Now you can go off and do whatever you want. You can have whatever character or characters, even have a brand new species brought in that won't disrupt anything, because now you're going your own direction. You're going your own way. You won't have people like me sitting here watching our watches going, I wonder when Dr. Piper's going to show up. I wonder when Kirk's going to come back with Gary Mitchell, a character they've yet to even have on Strange New Worlds. Yeah, Wolverine 66. They didn't have one because that's, pre.
Well, there even was a federation to begin with.
They didn't even, that predates really the Federation. So, yeah, there wouldn't be a Prime Directive. But
There's a simpler thing. Instead of trying to rewind the past, you just go forward and then have them decide to drop the Prime Directive. There you go. Answer solved.
I mean, there's many different ways to go, but it sounds like they just wanted to do Star Trek, but just not Gene Roddenberry Star Trek. Again, the answer is your own universe. Just your own universe. You use the trappings of Star Trek without it affecting the original universe and timeline. Knock yourself out.
Keith,
have fun.
Here's the problem. They have to fix it because it's a sexist relic from the 1960s.
Yeah,
this. That's their entire mentality. What do these ideologues do? If they left Star Trek alone, that could still be used as a reference point, and that could still inspire behaviors that they don't like in the enlightened year of 2024.
I will tell them what I would often tell people in my younger years. You know what? I have 3 things to tell you, and the first and third don't count. Works a lot better when you're able to see me holding up 3 fingers. Anyway, it is I think in the end they just like spending money and really not having to act like they really need to worry about anything bad happening, because they, in the case of at least Kurtzman, he's got this incredible contract that's going to make sure he gets paid no matter what.
Yeah.
And all I have to say is whoever negotiated that contract for him, God, I need that person as my lawyer.
Well, it's what they do. Here's what it comes down to, as far as I can tell, ultimately, with these ideologues. They want to be activists, and they want to do as little work as possible. So,
Yeah.
having to, for instance, follow through with Star Trek would involve having to do actual homework.
And if you take the idea that has been put forth with this back in 2004, you wouldn't have to do as much homework, if at all. You're starting all over from the very beginning, and you're all you have is the Enterprise, its crew, Kirk, Spock, McCoy, go. And
Even the work you've done coming up with that, Keith, is more work than they're willing to do,
which is unfortunate. There's nothing like when the dumb get lazy. There's just nothing like it. Wow. GR got kicked out of his own universe. Yeah. Tom Baker, not much enlightening in 2024. Yeah.
No, we're actually a very regressive society compared to where we were like 20 years ago, which is sad.
Gap after dark. The sad part is you can't put all this crap back in a bottle. Maybe they could just not ever show Discovery, Picard, or Strange New Worlds ever again. It's not like they have a huge fan. Yeah, well, they don't. Now, I personally believe that they could announce tomorrow that it's its own. Look, I look at it this way. If you're David Ellison and you're coming into this, once you get rid of Kurtzman, you can do anything you want with any of this stuff. Ellison could easily just strip all this stuff away from Star Trek and turn it into its own timeline and universe anyway. I mean, it's not like the so-called fan base of Kurtzman Trek is going to do anything. There's not enough of them. There really isn't. If there were, they'd be a lot more popular than they are. And Mikey Spock could still be on the air. Brand new episodes.
No thanks.
No, if they had done it right, then yeah, they'd have an actual demand for the more. But what's going to happen instead is they're going to make stuff till the money dries out, and then Star Trek will be a dead husk, and they'll just move on to destroying the next thing.
Yeah. I believe it is possible for that to happen. Very possible for that to happen. But I think Star Trek has enough going for it where after a while you could bring it back and start again. And again, once all of this is done, you could say whatever you want. I'm pretty sure that Kurtzman will not be invited to any conventions or anything. He'll have enough money to sit in his little tiny hovel and say whatever he wants to say. My Star Trek was legit. I had every reason to believe that I am the successor to Gene Roddenberry and I could do whatever I wanted. And even though I was in charge of the Dark Universe, it's Tom Cruise's fault that it all went to pot. That's what he says. That is what he says.
Remember, Terry Metalis did something people actually liked. And what happens? Terry Metalis is no longer working in the building.
Yeah, he's moved on. He got a really good offer. He's got talent.
Yeah, so It's not just about success, it's about ego. It has to be his Star Trek. He's not even happy enough that he could go, okay, I'll just take producer credit, say this is mine, and I'll let Terry do everything. He has to be the genius. This is the fucking problem.
Yeah,
These people have to be the ones doing it. They have to be the ones who fix things.
The fans of current Trek, K-Trek. Gap says, Keith, David Allison needs to hire you as his advisor. And if he does, I want suggestion credit. But here's the thing. Thank you, Gap. Here's the thing, though. What you have is someone whose ego is so out of control that certain people who have worked on New Trek have said certain things. Which means these actors know. They know. They are willing to defend all that because of ego. They are willing to keep up appearances until such time as they won't. And Kurtzman's gotten away with saying, in response to fans who want to see Star Trek Legacy, that it's above his pay grade, which by now, if you haven't figured it out, is actually BS. It's a delaying tactic. Alex Kurtzman has the right to greenlight a certain number of shows every year. The very fact that he decided not, and again, let me repeat this, he decided not to make Star Trek Legacy, shows that his ego is wildly out of control. And he's a whiny little bee. So,
if it was about making a successful show, he would have followed through with Picard season 3. I personally didn't bother with any of it, but hey, apparently you guys liked it, so
I liked it. Look, Terry Matalas did the best he could with the directive he was given, which is he wasn't allowed to go outside of everything that had been done in the first 2 seasons of Picard, and he wasn't allowed to go outside the STD universe. It all had to be done within the remnants and the boundaries set up by all these other shows and everything that had come before. So for him to have done what he did, that's just talent right there. Okay? You have C-Rat to work with, and you still manage to create something incredible. Now, is it the best thing ever? No. But of this new Trek universe, of this K-Trek universe, to me, it's the best thing, period. The very best thing they've done, period, in all of K-Trek. Yeah, Wolverine 66, the Dark Universe is the epitome of the cart before the horse. And it's one that Kurtzman will tell you the only reason why all those people got fired, they lost their jobs, and they couldn't move forward was because of Tom Cruise. That is the explanation that he gives, and everyone that works for him at Secret Hideout repeats that same story. They're trying to be consistent.
Now, exactly what supposedly or allegedly Tom did to tank the franchise.
I love this. Allegedly.
No, it is allegedly, because again, given what Kurtzman's job was, the way it went was that Kurtzman went ahead, wrote the screenplay. They hired all the actors and stuff. Tom Cruise got cast also. And the thing about Tom Cruise is whenever he's a part of any movie, and this goes for any movie that he works on, he has to have a level of input with both the production and the script. Now, if you're someone that doesn't know the history of Tom Cruise and the way that he works, it's easy to say, oh, so then Tom Cruise really did kill the entire thing. No, he didn't. He didn't. There's nothing that Tom Cruise did that is different than any other project he's ever worked on. And here's the kicker. A lot of people who do think that keep forgetting that Kurtzman had already worked with Tom Cruise before. Kurtzman helped to write the screenplay for Mission Impossible 3. He knew all about how Tom Cruise works. It's part of the reason why he looked forward to having Tom Cruise on The Mummy. So for him to use the excuse, well, you know, Tom Cruise comes in, he wants to take over everything. Okay, tell me something new. What's different? You know,
difference was he wanted to take over everything.
Well, he was the guy. See, the thing is, Tom Cruise wasn't trying to take over the new universe films. He was just doing The Mummy. That's what he does. He handles what he works on. The thing that he has direct contact with is the thing he wants to concentrate on. He didn't care about anything else. So for Kurtzman to use that as the excuse is stupid. You were given an entire universe and you tanked it with one film.
Yep. You had Maximus. And
yeah,
you wasted him.
You had all these actors willing to do whatever you wanted them to do. And you had the power to decide what the next movie was going to... I mean, that's the other thing. You weren't smart enough to find a director to direct the movie so that you could oversee all the other films coming. You had to go and direct the film yourself. Then when everything started falling apart, you had to quickly come up with an excuse that kind of sort of made sense in the moment, even though it doesn't historically fit your past work action. So his story is believable as long as you're not working for him. You know, it's BS.
It's also, why start with The Mummy? Why not start with, I don't know, Dracula or...
They did. The film Dracula Untold was grandfathered into the Dark Universe. So really, they had two films, not just one.
That's terrible thing because it has like no associated branding for it in the first place. So, or I don't know, Frankenstein, or just some monster that has an actual name. I mean, it's The Mummy for a reason, and the thing people think most of when you say The Mummy now, especially back then, but even now, people think the Brendan Fraser movie.
Yes, that's it. But again, it's Alex Kurtzman.
Yep.
Since he and his partner parted ways, mysteriously, Kurtzman's ability to be able to come up with anything original seems to be extremely limited. Almost non-existent.
I wouldn't say it's limited. I'm denying its very existence.
good one, Shinaski. It's just when you look at everything he has done in recent years, including the whole Clarice television series, which I even have to say, wow, that's trolling on a whole new level.
As I wonder, did Brian Fuller beat him up in high school repeatedly or
I have
something?
no idea. But
Because
that to me is one of the greatest questions out there. Hey Gary, how's it going, my man?
Happy Thanksgiving, guys.
Happy
Happy
Thanksgiving to you.
Thanksgiving, boss.
I will say this. You know, what is amazing to me is when you have people who are part of the LGBTQ community who defend all of Kurtzman's actions right up until the point when you point out to them that the person who got fired because of him, the original creator of Star Trek Discovery, of its Bible, and of the original episodes that had been written while he wasn't running things, was an openly proud gay man. We call that, kids, irony.
Isn't it ironic, don't you think? Oh, hi, Gap After Dark. Morning,
that was
everybody.
ironing.
Happy Thanksgiving. Ironing, yeah. So I want to point out before I do anything else, I just wanted to pop in to wish everybody happy Thanksgiving. But I have, I've been taking in a few new films this week.
Yes.
And I watched The Conclave with Ralph Fiennes because, I'm a big fan of his work. I'm a big fan of pretty much the entire cast of that film. Yeah. And it billed itself as this like suspense thriller, within the conclave of the Catholic Church when the Pope dies, that there's some sort of conspiracy. And when we get to the third act, it's nothing but identity politics at play. And I'm sitting there after going through all of this, and I looked like that moment at the Oscars with that guy. He's like, yeah. I'm like, yeah.
I just thought you'd say that you just start to hear the Crying Games soundtrack in the background.
They may as well have done that because it was so fucking badly. And what shocks me is like people are like raving about the novel that it's based on. And I'm like, why? Because it doesn't really go anywhere. It doesn't really do anything. It's like, we actually had a biological female who was Pope once. A lot of people don't know that historically. It did happen, but this is just fucking ridiculous. And what it really exposes in the film is the leftist ideology of the Catholic Church right now that they're trying to take over. It's a power play in the movie, and it is in real life too, that we have the same kind of shit going on in the Catholic Church as we've been struggling with in the UK, Canada, France, Australia, and in the United States. And that's all that's going on in this film. And and what disgusts me is they call themselves liberals in the film. And I'm like, no, you're not. I grew up in a liberal family. You are not liberal. You're something else. Because all they want to do is change everything. And they're against, just like with the whole thing with Star Wars, what did they say in that one? The past must die, kill it.
Let the past die.
Yeah, that's what they're doing in this film. The exact same thing. That they said there is no what is it called within every church? They have their history. What is that referred to? I forget the
dogma.
Word. No, not dogma. Their history. Their history. The thing that you cherish, like in your family. The history. And
traditions.
Traditions, and they just outright say there is no traditions in the Catholic Church, and I'm like going,
we're talking about.
Man, I was raised in the Catholic Church. What the fuck are you talking about?
It's nothing but traditions.
That's how these Marxists think, because that's what they really are. They call themselves liberal, and Keith knows you're not a Marxist, are you, Keith?
No.
And you are liberal. You are a very liberal guy. I'm very liberal in some of my leanings.
Mhm.
But when I shut that film down off, Keith, I swear to God, I felt insulted. I really did. I felt insulted. My intelligence was insulted by that movie. And I was ashamed that I'm a fan of some of these actors for agreeing to be in such an egregious, badly plotted film. And plot seems to be everything now, thanks to J.J. Abrams. And the other film I watched was Elevation. I'm like, I like Mackie. I think he's a good actor. I don't think he's great.
Yeah.
And I think what's her name is beautiful. The one that married
Morena.
Gordon.
Morena.
She's gorgeous and she can act too. So I'm like going into this movie going, oh, okay, monster flick. Let's watch this action flick. And I get annoyed within the first 5 minutes at some of the plotting going on and some of the stupid ideas they had. Like they have an arsenal, dude, in this camp, an arsenal. They actually have a U.S. Army Ranger actor playing the guy that controls the armory. And they're saying that these things can't be killed, these monsters. And I'm like going, because they're armored? Yeah, well, there's always a weakness with armored creatures. And I'm going to tell you right now, you didn't use a Maudus. You know what a Maudus is? That's a 50 caliber Browning anti-armor machine gun. And that sucker will go through anything, like multiple anythings. It'll go through tanks, you know? So I immediately was annoyed at that. But I tried to let it go and tried to watch the film, and it's so pedantic and pedestrian and everything they did. Everything was predictable in it, bad writing. And then they added the single worst element. Florence Pugh is in it, and she's terrible. It's like all they can do is make the main characters, except for Mackie, all like annoying white women. And it gets so fucking annoying. It's like, you know, the one actual Army Ranger in the movie is like in a couple scenes. You know, they can't have men going out there to face these things. They got to be women. It's like, oh my God, nobody learned anything from Annihilation.
Well, once again, feminism has ruined women more than it ruined men.
And it ruined what could have been a fun film. When Florence Pugh dies, I actually let out an audible yes, because she was so bad and I wanted her to die so she would stop being in scenes. And because she's a terrible, terrible actor, just awful. You know, it's like people were like thinking she's like really good because she was in that Black Widow movie, and I'm like going, she was the worst part of the fucking movie. What are you talking about?
Yeah,
she's what terrible. The other Black Widow in that movie?
Yeah, the sister, and just fucking, she's
terrible.
Okay.
Now I know who she is.
She's a terrible actor. God, what is her name again? Martin. She's written as such an asshole in the story that it's hard to like her even in this film. So, and then you got a father who is like a courageous pussy. He's just like, God, he's such an annoying character. It's like, you know, instead of like, I got to go do this. No, I don't want you to go with me or anything like that. It's like, okay, I'll take this ragtag group of women with me because they won't cause me to slow down or anything. Oh my God, it's a terrible, terrible movie. And, you know, it's ended in a way that, you know, they kind of want to show that they want to do more. But I just can't see that getting any good ratings. It's so badly done. It's all plot, no story. Characters are really terrible. The backstory is actually the most interesting part of this thing, Keith.
Wow.
The backstory. I like when we finally find out what's going on, I'm like, no, that was the movie. That's the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Not this. What you just showed me was just like, I don't know, man. It's like an ugly person jerking off in front of you. It's just
God.
I am not enjoying this at all.
Oh, no.
Gary, you have metaphors. They're not good ones, but you have them.
They're good. They make the point. That's the point. They get the point. It's like, oh fuck, yeah, sure, it's there for a laugh, but the fact is, nobody wants that, Shinatsky, unless that's your fetish. So
Wow.
it's a terrible film, and I absolutely tell people don't waste your time on these movies. God, what I want to see is movies great again. Make movies great again. Make television great again. Because that's why we do all of our shows during the week of talking about classic films or even modern good films. Is that there is stuff out there worth watching, but a lot of the garbage that they put out is exactly that. It's just flaming garbage.
Well, Gary, as I like to say, it's not a matter of there's not the talent there. It obviously is. It's who's going to back said films over what they're backing now.
Well, this is an Amazon bought film. I don't think they produced the film. I think they bought the distribution of it. But it does scream Amazon all over it with the way that they write bad women, like women that just don't make sense.
Yeah,
Taylor Sheridan knows how to write women and knows how to write men. And I've been watching that new show, Landman. That's some good shit right there.
Yeah.
That is a film worth your time. What?
Amazon and all the tech companies that have taken over, they have these stupid checklists because it's just content to them. One movie is as good as another as long as it has X, Y, and Z in it. They don't fucking know story or characters at all. If they did, we should have, they shouldn't get stuff like The Terminalist by accident.
Well, horror films, science fiction, it doesn't matter what kind of horror, when you have monsters, okay, the monster kind. Really, it's a cookie cutter concept. And it really takes a significant amount of stupidity to fuck that up. You have to go out of your way kind of stupid.
Yeah.
And that's what they did. And I just like, man, how can you fuck up a simple idea like this? Because they had a cool concept of these monsters, that these things have been down under earth for hundreds of thousands of years, and they come digging their way out like insects, or more like cicadas, that these creatures have slept for maybe 1,000 years. So that's the mystery. That's the story, not what's going on in this movie. What they're doing in this movie is ignoring all the cool shit and focusing on all the stupid shit. And just, it's daunting. And this is that is something I do right there. You just saw me do it. I get exasperated by stupid writing.
I'm amazed you're still alive in this era then.
Yeah, you know what? I told Danny, Anima, that if anything kills me, it's going to be bad writing.
Stay away from J.J. Abrams and Alex Kurtzman.
Oh, yeah, I've already sworn him off, or any of his acolytes. Once they show that they're into what he does, I'm out. And what happened, because there was a period of time when he was actually good at his craft.
Yeah.
His last really good film, and I think a lot of that was thanks to Tom Cruise, was Mission Impossible 3. And I just don't think he's put anything good after that.
Well, I mean, he even attempted a Marvel comic that he never finished.
Yeah,
he and his son
I remember
did an amazing
Spider-Man
comic, and it was a whole story arc, and they never finished it. And it's just like, well, wait a minute, what are you teaching your kids now? It's like, well, you got bored with it, time to leave. It's just,
right, yeah. So I think it's about all I have to add to today, is just let you guys know, don't watch The Conclave, don't waste your time, and don't waste your time on this movie unless you want to see Frances Pugh's character die, because then that's worth the price of admission, when she gets nailed in the chest, and it's fucking like, yes. I mean, I'm serious. I went, yes. And then I went, oh, was that evil? Was that evil? Was that evil of me?
I think you should still check it out just to see Anthony Mackie in a movie that actually comes out.
So is it as embarrassing as his Black Mirror episode?
I got to tell you, man, he's going to fuck up. doing these bad films, these ID politic films, because it's going to kill his career. Florence Pugh has absolutely killed any chance she has now, because she's such a bad actor. And bad actors can actually be in good films if they play to their strengths, which is don't talk a lot.
Well, I mean, for me personally, when she, the thing is, she's also got a temper, and she's also very
in real life she's volatile.
Yeah, she's volatile. This was all put out there because oh man, what's the name of that dumb movie that she decided to make a movie, and the director kind of threw her under the bus, revealed all this stuff about it. During an interview, it was oh man, what was the name of that movie? Because it just came out about a year ago.
Don't Worry, Darling.
That's it.
Yeah, with Elizabeth Banks as the director.
What, the Jordan Peterson one?
As I recall, no, it's Olivia Wilde, the alien.
Olivia Wilde. That's it. Olivia Wilde.
She's
and
another
Olivia
timing liberal that
Olivia Wilde didn't purposely go out to the media and say this. What happened is that they had the original lead actor she was trying to convince to do the movie. And he decided to remove himself from the movie because being with Florence Pugh might cause him to break out into bad habits.
Was that Chris Pine or was that Harry Styles? Who was?
No, it's the person who Harry Styles replaced.
Oh.
It was
what, Shia LaBeouf was it?
That's it, Shia LaBeouf. Shia LaBeouf decided to record his conversations and record and keep a copy of all of the messages that Olivia Wilde would send to his phone to try to keep him, try to get him to do the movie.
What, Olivia Wilde be one of those crazy Marxists in Hollywood that would lie?
Well, why would you fight over Shia LaBeouf? He basically self-destructed himself. Yeah,
he is. Oh, whoa, Shinatsky. Something happened to him because he hit rock bottom.
Yeah.
And right after he hit rock bottom, he became a born-again Christian. And
I'm aware of that. I'm saying, is this around the time he hit rock bottom?
Yeah. Well, no, he had already hit it before this. And he was starting to come back, and he has a certain sensibility about him now. I watched that interview with his co-star in Fury, Punisher actor.
Yeah.
I watch his podcast, and he had him on right after all this stuff happened with his bottoming out, and he's like, and it was really an amazing interview. I'm like going, holy shit! I thought he was just lost his fucking mind, and there was no coming back for him. And he's proof that if you fight and get your head out of your ass, that you can become a better person. Not only you can also possibly even save your carear, because he's got some great films behind him.
Yeah,
that interview was very good.
You saw it too.
Yeah, the only thing. The thing that when he says that Johnny Depp shouldn't have defended himself, that he should have taken in silence as a man, that you as a man, you have to take in silence even when
I don't agree with
there are
that
lies. No.
You need to stand up for yourself because nobody else will.
That's right. I mean, if your woman decided to grow a tail on your bed, you got to get mad about that.
Grow and detach.
I mean,
see what I left you, Johnny?
I mean, that's one of those situations that not only do you realize that she's crazy, but you then begin to slowly suspect that you probably should.
Dangerous too.
Yeah, you shouldn't close your eyes around her ever again.
Well, the like it exposed the problem which people already know about. If you're a man and you're being abused, you're fucked.
Yep.
Not necessarily.
Because most
You-
men keep their mouths shut. We
Yeah.
do. We suffer in silence. We don't.
Well,
Because I
suffer in
was
silence, and if you come out, it's a hit to your masculinity in the
Yeah.
eyes of everyone else.
If
don't-
anybody believes you. to
at the
begin
time.
with.
Yeah,
I never talked about the shit that I went through with Zoe's mother. I just realized she was insane, and the things she was trying to do were insane. And and they actively, her whole family and her actively tried to destroy me in court and destroy my life. And in many ways, even though I won in court, I mean, I destroyed them in court because evidence is evidence, and but in the end, they still won because that's why I suffer so badly from PTSD. Because of the shit they did, and it fucked with me, and that's how I got fat. I started just pounding down little Debbie cakes, man. Just, oh my god, a whole box of them a night. And I'm not talking about
gotta
the thin
fill the hole
box.
somehow.
I'm talking about the double box. Yeah, there's a big fucking empty chasm, a maw in the middle of my soul from what was done, and there was no rejoicing and celebrating for the victory because. Now I kind of do because I look at how wonderful my daughter is, and I realize that's me, the good and the bad with her, because she's also does stupid shit. And I just look at her and went, yeah, that's my bad too. That's my bad too.
When I was attending college, I saw how easy it was for people to just get reported after they hooked up. I'm like, okay, I'm not even touching a woman the entire fucking time I'm here.
Yeah, and in fact, I always when I flirted with a woman, I did it publicly in front of other people so they could see, and then in private, I keep my distance from women. Always have.
Now that things are worse because if he makes the advance on you and you say no, she can accuse you of a hate crime.
Well, you almost have to treat them the same way Keanu Reeves does when he's posing for pictures.
Yep. No touching. No touching.
No touching.
Oh,
no touching. No
that's
touching.
a hate crime. That's a hate crime because it's discrimination.
He's
Yep.
You're fucked.
You're
fucked.
We've destroyed the ability for people to get into relationships because, like, if you're not allowed to stumble ever at all or misread things, how are you supposed to fucking learn anything? So people don't bother because they don't want their lives destroyed. As a result, the population is going down.
Oh, you will learn in your prison jail with Billy Bob and the soap bar.
And you know what? Something in writing that's always pissed me off, because I have a lot of cop friends, a lot of them. And I really get mad when I hear them telling me something where they used that as a threat against somebody they were questioning. Because I'm like, do you realize that what you're doing is you're acting as a proponent of that shit happening in prison? And I learned, I think it was about 15, 20 years ago, that they could stop that shit happening in prison. They absolutely could stop it from happening. Like drop it down to like maybe 1 to 2% chance of it happening. That low. But they choose not to because it's one of the ways of managing and maintaining control within the prison.
Yep.
Wow.
Think about that.
The fuck?
Wow.
That's our government.
Yep. That's human nature.
And it shocked me when I learned that. And I was like, holy shit. And so whenever I hear a cop use that as a threat to get somebody to talk, I want to punch that cop for doing that. Because I'm like, that's disgusting, dude. You're threatening them. Not with you doing it, but you're going to allow someone else to do it to them in order to get them to talk. I'm like, that's really fucking repugnant as a human being to do that. And cops will say, well, it works. And I'm like, not what I'm talking about. It's the choice of doing it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you have to be better than them as a person.
Yeah. That's what it takes. You know, you have to choose to be a better person.
Yeah.
That's what it's really good advice for all of life.
I've always thought, the cops were the
Yes.
good guys, but when I see a cop do that, that's really traveling beyond the gray in my area. That's not gray area. That's vile to threaten somebody with that. So, but anyway, that's just my personal pet peeve. Because I've handed out ass beatings in my life. I've handed out quite a few, and I'm okay with physical altercations with somebody and bringing them to Jesus the violent way. I'm okay with that.
That's because of the area you grew up in. My whole thing was it didn't matter if you were in the right. If you got started anything, you were in as much, if not more, trouble.
Yeah, I was worried about that with my dad, but I found out no, my dad just didn't want me to start fights. So, but he always had the thing, and I taught the same thing to my kids: don't start a fight, finish it.
Yep.
It's okay. Beat the loving snot out of him. Go ahead.
Yep.
And sucker punch him in the throat, kick him in the nuts. For my daughter, I'm like, yeah, go ahead, knee him, kick him.
Not about how you start the date, but how you end it.
How you end it.
Can we get a better look of that eagle?
No. It got broken. It got broken. It got broken, and I have to repair it because in the move, things that were mine and not somebody else's were treated like it was theirs. It was treated like somebody else's property, and a bunch of my stuff got broken.
Wow.
And I'm not mad at him. It's just that it hurt that my property was just mishandled like that.
At our ages, a lot of the stuff that we own isn't just sentimental. It's also really stuff that can't easily be replaced. Anybody that actually still has their original G.I. Joes or their $6 Million Man, that stuff, is priceless to us. And it's not that easy to replace. And it's
a cherished memory.
It is.
It's a physical manifestation of a cherished memory. And wow. I've just loved all my stuff. But I've lost so much stuff over the last 4 years. I've lost so far. I don't know if I'll ever see all my family's photos ever again. Going back 100 years. I don't know if I'll ever see it.
Wow.
And it's hard not to, I'm not mad at people. I don't get angry at people for that stuff. It's just stuff that happens. But what I do get bothered by is disregard towards my feelings. When I always put other people's feelings up front, because I really don't want to hurt people. It's a thing of mine. So, but what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Shit happens.
Yep.
What's that saying?
Psychos are
shit happens the most often around here.
Yeah.
And was it Murphy's Law too?
Wow.
Yeah. But anyway, so I opened this up and I found that it's like after Olivia Wilde's claims of firing him were published, he released all the messages showing that she's lying. It's like,
yeah,
what did you think you were gonna? What did you think was gonna happen? Don't lie.
And then he said that Johnny shouldn't have defended himself.
Well, but on top of that, it revealed that the person who I think he initially was trying not to say her name, but I mean, it got revealed that the person who they were talking about during some of those conversations was
Florence Pugh.
That she
was. I can't remember. What did she do?
She's a little bit of a diva. She brought an attitude to the set that Shia was not comfortable with. And he just felt that to continue on with that production would have just not been good for where he was wanting to take his life. And so he left. And so Olivia Wilde replaced Shia LaBeouf with her boyfriend. And
I find it ironic because, that movie was right on the flip side of his transition change as a person, is becoming a Christian and trying to get his head out of his ass and be a better person. And they caught him at the wrong moment, because probably before he would have I'll just fuck her. Get drunk. Drug.
I think that is the bad habit that he was referring to.
Well, not the only one, but I mean, it is difficult to be someone who is known in the industry for having difficulties, but to also be someone that is truly talented. I mean, look, for all of the stuff about Shia LaBeouf, I have never not been amazed at his acting ability.
I mean, I watched all the way back when he was in the movie Holes. And I'm like, that was a good film, and he was good in it.
Yeah.
Everything he was in, he was good. Problem is, he's
Transformers.
The first one I enjoyed him in.
Yes. He was the best part of that movie, to be honest.
But
I couldn't stand what's her name, Fox. I've never.
Well,
she looks like a porn actress that somehow found her way into a.
Oh my god!
Why do you think she was casted in the first place?
You do not get DSL lips like that without doing DSL.
Look, I will say this: she is she's something. I mean, I can't deny it. I mean, you see her on the screen, and you just have to, wow.
She's weird looking now, ever since she's been augmented.
Yeah, she made some shit on her face, and unnecessarily.
She's become a Satanist as far as I can tell, or at least definitely looks like she's gone down that path. I'm not even kidding.
Well, you can only keep a certain look for so long,
What was that series that came out in the 90s?
Nip Tuck?
Dark Hollywood Stories with Rabenza or whatever that fucking guy's name was.
Oh, AJ Benza.
Yeah, AJ Benza.
Was it Secrets and Scandals or something like that?
I hope that I can freeze my head and put in one of those, Futurama jars so I can watch the future versions of that show when they start talking about Fox and some of these fucking actors that absolutely were either sleeping their way to the top or were slept with to get to, to put them to the top. Because you never know when people love to play the victim card, and a lot of times they weren't the victims; they were willing participants in their own shenanigans. And they just want to later look innocent.
That was one of the things with me too, where I was going, wait a second. So a bunch of you are admitting you actually slept your way into the industry, and you're thinking that this gives me more sympathy towards you and not contempt.
Exactly.
Well, it's that this whole period, as I said at the beginning of the show, this is eventually just going to be seen as something that they're going to teach in college courses. That really this last almost 10 to 15 to almost 20 years has just been a complete dumpster fire. But it's not without some usefulness in that you can learn from this period and try not to make many of the mistakes that was made during this period, whether you're talking how, again, corporations used IP, how actors got used, definitely a lot of people within the music industry. And that one's going to be a long and dangerous and dark road because they are not even close to being done with all that. There's a lot of people who are going to get revealed that who aren't even really on a lot of people's radar, but they're going to be surprised when those names come up.
We're getting to the end of the Hollywood era. Like
We're
Hollywood
getting
started because they were fleeing
we're
from New
getting to
York.
the end of
Keith
this
and I were
version.
alive during the end of the studio era,
Yeah.
and because we were children when that happened, but we are reaching. I don't know what to refer to it as. I don't think it's the end of Hollywood. I think Hollywood will go on.
Yep.
I think we are seeing the end of what was remaining after the studio system collapsed.
Yep.
And we're now seeing more movement towards independent, and these studios tend to be like giving more like not just distribution but completion funds, and they're not stepping into the production aspect anymore. They're working more closely, more and more, with independent creators, and corporate filmmaking is what's killing. And Keith knows exactly what I'm talking about.
Yep.
You know, Marvel is corporate filmmaking. And I said the other day on another channel, I said, Feige couldn't make a good Marvel film on his own anymore. He's incapable of doing it. They are completely incapable. The only person capable of doing it is, ironically, Ryan Reynolds.
Mhm.
And they couldn't make a good Marvel film to save their lives without Ryan Reynolds. That's how fucked they are right now.
Bob Chapek was smart to allow Ryan Reynolds to go ahead and move forward on making Deadpool and Wolverine, because that's the only way that film was going to get made. The only way.
Because Feige wouldn't have allowed it on his own. Because
Feige would not have allowed it, and Iger
stuff.
would never have greenlit it. And the very fact they keep harping on Chapek shows you really how fearful they were of him had he remained chairman. You know, because I really do think he would have steered Disney at least the right direction. There's a lot of things that would be different with Disney right now if Chapek were still in charge. I don't think they would have lost all those Imagineers.
Well, he was set up by Iger.
I
kept pointing that out at the time, and I look. Everybody says that they knew he was going to come back. You and I've heard that. I'm the only one who said he was coming back in our group.
Yeah,
I'm the only one who openly said, "Oh, he's coming back. He's not done." And when it happened, I went, "See, I told you." He was setting Chapek up, and he had aspirations that made no sense with what he was doing with Chapek. I'm like, this does not read well. I don't understand what he's doing here. Like, he's still manager over the manager. Like, what?
I guess we're a movie star, because
you broke up there. What?
We're at the end of the era of the movie star, at the least.
Yeah, they've killed it, because for some reason, actors today, they still have publicists, but what the fuck do the publicists do? Because actor after actor just keeps opening their fucking mouth in public and saying stupid shit that kills their fucking careers. I don't know if George Clooney's ever going to get work again.
Oh God! Think about that Tom Hanks Robin Wright movie with Zemeckis. That should have been a hit like 10 years ago by those names alone.
Oh,
now
the trailer looked awful to me. I just was like, nah, nothing about this looks good.
It is gonna take. What's gonna have to happen is that a lot of people who are about Zemeckis' age are gonna have to just stay in the business a little while longer until a whole new generation of people come through that won't be following down the road that we've been going over the last 20 years, and they will chart a new course.
A lot of bad habits.
I'm trying.
Go away.
I'm trying. Me and Tom Conkle are trying.
Well, you guys need to hurry up.
Yeah, who's gonna fund?
There was a time gap, because Gap made this comment. I can't search George Clooney. I can't anymore. But there was a time when I really enjoyed him, and he was funny, and I got a kick out of watching him and Brad Pitt work together, and Mark Wahlberg. They had good chemistry. Mark Wahlberg's not a very good actor. He's a movie star. It's a difference. And but he had great chemistry with certain actors he's worked with. And
I mean, Jason Statham's a movie star.
Yeah, I don't think he can act with the crap most of the time, but God damn it, I've seen him do 2 films where he impressed me. And one of them where he is a veteran who happens upon this guy's apartment that he's not there anymore, rich guy. And so he starts living the life in this house and becomes makes a life for himself, becomes somebody. And I was really impressed with that film. He didn't rely on his amazing kicks and snarky fucking East End of London, quips.
I'm talking like this the entire movie. I'm just going
That's
to
how he
talk
talks.
like this.
He can't help how he talks. That's how he talks. I won't mock a man for the way he talks unless it's like really high pitch. Then I'm like,
Well, no, I'm just saying that
I'm just saying that in
if
front
he's
of
angry,
me.
if he's happy, if he's whatever, he talks the exact same way. In other words, there's no emotion in his voice.
Well, some people can get away with that. Some
Yeah.
people can get away with that.
Yeah.
And it's
it's
acceptable.
called the face. You watch their face, As a person who on the spectrum, face is important to me. So, but I like Statham. I like him. He's a smart dude. He's friends with Stallone, and I like Stallone. So the actors that tend to be friends with Stallone are guys that I actually like. And if you didn't hear the good news today, it was released today that Dolph Lundgren is, after almost a decade of fighting cancer, he's cancer-free right now.
Good for him and everybody. Thank God.
As he was going to chemo, he just said, "If it dies, it dies."
Well, I think that my favorite thing that was said today was, by Nick over on, Nick Weiser. He said, what did he say? He said, that is awesome that the biggest dick that Brandon Lee has ever seen gets to continue.
Oh my goodness.
That's Brandon's line in that movie, Big Trouble in Little Tokyo.
Yeah. That's again. I enjoy that movie. I enjoy him as a performer. Really, what's going to have to happen is that I've said it before. Given where we are technologically, if you are someone who is an independent filmmaker, you can now actually create a shot-for-shot remake of Terminator 2 Judgment Day, minus 3 important things. Okay? 1, stunts. You need to be able to afford the kind of stunt people that they have. With those stunts, you also need to be able to afford the kind of pyrotechnics that they had on set. Some people like to lump both of those in, but they're 2 different things. And you need to make sure you have the best of the best when doing any of that stuff. Okay? And the third is you really need the advertising budget. Outside of that, you could remake that. Because
question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Why would you want to remake Terminator 2? That
Well,
movie's perfect.
As an example of where we are, a
Oh,
lot of the tech that went into the making of that film, a lot of the visual effects stuff now is stuff that you can get and use right now. So really, when you look at, say, like the Dust channel on YouTube, that's the reason why the quality of a lot of that stuff's going up. People are seemingly coming up and making these smaller movies that look more expensive than they actually are. So really, it's the script quality that needs to change in order for something to break out. Because if you think about it, part of the reason why Star Trek Generations didn't do that well at the box office is because of a movie that didn't cost as much. And that was Stargate. And it's the same formula.
And I
It's
love
about-
that film.
Yeah, Stargate's a really good movie. But what it was they needed to make a big studio film, but they couldn't afford to make a big studio movie. So what they did is they used everything they had. They used all the tricks they had to be able to make it a bigger deal than it was, to be able to make the movie look like it was. And for the most part, a lot of that film still holds up. If you want to go bigger, you need to produce things in a big fashion. But you don't necessarily have to go through a studio to do it, which means you don't have to hobble yourself by spending so much money that it's ludicrous. That's the problem with a film like Captain Falcon America 4. You know, it's insane to think that this film's going to be
really
right around...
terrible audience reaction. How many of us were surprised to hear that?
No, it's a joke now. It's becoming a joke. And
here's another one, Keith, I wanted to get your reaction to, because this broke my heart, because I've been a fan of this guy for a long time.
Oh yeah. Weren't you talking about that earlier, Keith?
Wow!
I wasn't talking about that earlier, but I will say this.
What
as I was saying with the whole idea of this stuff, if Kurtzman and Goldsman, they could immediately at least get back, well, prior to that right there, I said they could immediately get back at least a quarter of the fans who are not engaged with current day Star Trek just by saying, hey, you know what? This has nothing to do with the original timeline in the original series. We've gone off and we're doing our own thing. And we want to, you know, and that would help some people find their way to this new stuff. But will it allow them to be as successful as they could have been? Heck no. If you want to make Star Trek successful again, you need to bring in people who are big fans, but who also know what they are doing. I'm not saying that J. Michael Straczynski should be a showrunner of a new Trek series. Although if you decide to do one, you should at least convince him to write an episode. Because
I've been kind of sad because he's starting to get a big TDS, or at least the last time I checked on JMS.
Well, everybody, as I said earlier, also, everybody's getting older. You know, it's time to find a new group of people to try to take over. The thing is, there's been so much damage done over the last 15 to 20 years. We're going to have to ask a lot of the really talented people in Hollywood to stick around a little bit longer until, you know, things get to a point to where they can hand them off. Because
on the contrary,
well, let's
burn it all down.
Hold on, guys. Let's go back to something else, because we're skipping over something really important here. Is the new short film, part of the Roddenberry collection, Unification, directed by what's his name, Carlos Baena.
Yeah,
which is really fucking good.
Oh, geez, God, yes, it is. Yes,
I mean, it made me feel my feelings. I felt my feelings for the first time in years in a new Star Trek thing. I'm like, oh my God, what's happening? What's 13-year-old Gary's coming out? Oh,
I loved watching that. Look, I am not embarrassed to say I've seen that at least 10 times.
I think I'm right about the same, because like I'm watching it on average about once a day, sometimes twice a day. So it's been out for over a week, right? 8 days?
Well over a week.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've watched it a lot.
And Robert Meyer Burnett said that he was going to try to edit together all of the other films so that he could make one long thing out of it, which I'm interested to see what he's able to do with that.
We could easily do something like it, because I told you before, one of the smart things they could do is do new animated series, that CG with the classic crew. By the way, Monkey, I'm not sure what that means. Do you mean I feel it because it's part of my body, or I feel it because I'm putting my hand down there? Please elaborate. It's important to know these things.
Okay.
no.
Whatever the case,
We don't do that here.
We don't do that here.
I've said before, just do Star Trek as retrofuturism. Don't treat it like it's our actual future, because then you get the stupid holograms and everything else, like years before Kirk, Spock, and McCoy. Just say it's a retro future now, because it's been long enough that that future no longer can happen. But it's an awesome future. Let's have fun in it, like Sky Captain.
Like,
Just fucking
Sky
do it.
Captain.
I'm of two minds with this. On the one hand, that would be kind of cool, but on the other hand, I see what J. Michael Straczynski was trying to do, and I like his idea also. I think if you have someone who is a big fan, a real true big fan of Star Trek, you get together with other big fans, and at the very least, you figure out who you could have show run the whole thing, and somebody.
Well, that's the whole thing. They did. Look, these crazy fucking Marxists. I'm just going to call them what they are. These Marxists in Hollywood. All they did was they went for what they do, what they love. They went for identity politics. People that believe the same way as them. They populated Hollywood with this. And like, you have no idea when you populate an industry with that kind of groupthink, good luck getting rid of it. The only way you can get rid of it really is to let it die and then let the phoenix rise up from the ashes of what's next. And but some of these studio heads have gotten smart and they started firing people, hundreds of people. Almost 1,000 people in one situation. So, and that's the way you do it. You got to fire these fucking people, get them out of there, start populating with people who are actual creatives, who aren't activists. I swear to God, at this point, I'm so sick of every fucking actor being an activist. It's like, come on, man. I got it that we were all for protecting animals, all about protecting children. But some of the shit you guys are fucking doing is really fucking off the wall crazy.
Bob Chapek was right
here.
Bob Chapek had the right idea for Disney. As I said earlier, had he remained in charge longer, Disney wouldn't be as bad off, and they would still have.
Yeah, but booby traps were set around him by.
Oh yeah.
He was screwed from day one.
Yeah,
and that's the thing that sucks about Chapek. Because at first I thought, like, how big of an idiot are you that you can't get this shit cleaned up? Like, what's going on? But then we started hearing that Bob Iger and his cronies sitting at the table were all blocking Chapek from doing what he needed to do. And the writing was on the wall that he's not going to survive this.
Yeah. I mean, at least he got paid. He's sitting on his island and enjoying himself.
He was a professional. He kept his mouth shut.
Yeah, here he is. Here he is on the beach. Hey, Bob. Fuck you, dude. Fuck you. My career's not over. I'll have a future.
Here's the thing about it. All the stuff he was doing just came out. Like all the stuff he actually greenlight during his time and the way it was done just came out. And it's a success. But you know what? After that, into next year, it's back to Bob Iger stuff.
Well, the thing that Chapek decided to do, and again, as time goes on, I think he was correct. His whole thing was let Star Wars die, but we could save Marvel. And that's exactly what he was concentrating on. He was just going to let Kathleen Kennedy flush the whole thing.
We should have a movie called The Real Avengers Save Marvel.
I wish.
For the people that are fighting to save it.
Hey, Keith, R&B did create a super cut of what Otoy Roddenberry Archive has done thus far. He got yanked for cut. Oh, well. Otoy, I gotta say, I said it before the other day. I think they should just go ahead and maybe do a full mini feature and try to get away with that by using one of the comics as the basis. Because the thing about that film, ultimately, what we ended up getting with Unification is that it's tied in to a story that they have been telling up to this point that is actually because of a Star Trek comic book. In this case, it was Early Voyages comic, and using a character that not every Star Trek fan knows, but if you are a Star Trek fan, especially of original Trek, you know who it is, which is Yeoman Colt. And the other thing about Unification is I am in big disagreement with a lot of the interpretations of what that thing is, because people keep skipping over the fact that at the very beginning, who did you start with? Who was there at the beginning? Who was there watching the sun close up?
Gary.
That's right.
Mitchell.
So at the end, Kirk and Spock are watching the sun set with Gary Mitchell at the sun. No, this is not the afterlife. I think Gary did something, or is in the process of doing something, because you don't kill a guy like that.
Yeah, because it's
by
like
crushing him
with a rock.
Yeah.
You know, and everybody knows that wasn't James T. Kirk. That was James R. Kirk.
There you go.
It was an alternate universe.
James R. Kirk.
That's if you didn't watch. That's his name on the tombstone. James R. Kirk.
Yeah. I know, it's just funny.
Well, I mean, again, that was not every TV show has everything planned out. I mean, you do make mistakes, but
James R. Kirk. James R. Kirk.
I got to tell you, Jeebus, I've been a big fan of Morris for a long time, but the direction they went with For All Mankind,
Outland.
I don't watch Outlander. I watch For All Mankind. I quit watching last season because I'm like, okay, you lost me, because it went DEI, and I'm like, yeah, I'm out. And he's in charge of that, and I was really shocked. I don't know about Outlander. I mean, is it not good?
Oh no, that was the thing he was doing a whole bunch, which was it like a romance novel series that got turned into a show?
A time traveling one. The other thing he did that I was very disappointed with was Helix, because it started out really good the first season, and because it was what came from his version of The Thing, because they were going to do The Thing on Sci-Fi Channel, and then it got dropped, and it became the prequel film that we eventually got that was ruined by bad decisions. And so, because it's not just the CGI that was bad about that film, it's like they forgot what made the original so great, is isolation. And so it wasn't a paranoia film, and The Thing needs to be a paranoia film. You need to be paranoid watching it. But his thing became Helix, and so you could see elements of The Thing in it all the way up about 3/4 of the way through, and then it became something else that I didn't think was very interesting, and so it lost me. And then season 2 came out, and I thought, well, maybe it'll get better. I watched episode 1 and went, yeah, this is garbage. They got too ambitious with the world building. And I went, I'm done. I'm out. And it flopped. Season 2.
Well, go ahead.
Well, when you can't keep an idiot like me entertained.
You're an idiot. You're a moron. Big difference.
I also want to say that while Brandon Braga is someone who could show run a new Star Trek, would you really want him? I mean, the thing is that I would still be willing to take any of these people that we have named over the current group of people that are running things right now. Okay, so let me at least put that out there.
At least one thing with Braga, is there would be titties in there somewhere. Nice big jumblies. You know it.
And he would inspect them himself.
Of course.
I'd be willing to help him out. But
what is it? The FBI? What is that? What is that? What is that acronym?
Female booby.
Bobby or body or booby?
Body.
It's both.
Body
Inspector.
He was terrible, dude. He was terrible. He's why 7 of 9 wore the skin tight outfits.
Yep.
And why I just forgot her name. The vulgar.
Are you complaining about that?
No, I'm not complaining, but he's why that happened.
Yeah.
And it's why it happened in Star Trek Enterprise too.
Yep.
That was his ex. What's her name? Jolene Blaylock or whatever her name was.
Blaylock, yeah.
No. He was married to the actress that played 7 of 9.
Oh
no, they were dating. They didn't get married.
They dated. Fuck you.
Okay,
Keith.
I'm sorry. They
fuck
dated.
You corrected me, motherfucker.
What?
Wait.
How dare you? How dare you?
I have a video to run here.
By what name are you known?
There are some who call me Tim.
We need a video for Jeebus too, and we should actually use it for all of our ape friends that are in our chat. But I want to get a video of a big silverback gorilla throwing shit against the window. I think it'd be funny.
Wow. Look,
it's more for Jeebus because Jeebus is that guy that throws. He's an ape that throws shit against.
Yeah.
Motherfucker.
There is definitely someone out there that could actually show run a new Star Trek series, but
who?
I'm not going to.
I can't think of a name now.
Oh, Robert Meyer Burnett, because I just talked to him. I think yesterday.
Really?
Yeah.
So did you do his show yesterday?
No, it's communicated with him on Twitter.
On
Twitter.
I need to reach out to him and
he's a good dude. I don't agree with him because like his statement about the Goonies, Tom and I are in accordance on that one. I'm like, fuck off with that, buddy. No, Goonies is a great film.
I don't agree with a lot either with his assessment of like, oh, the only 2 great Star Wars was it the first 2? Because Return of the Jedi isn't like perfect like those 2 are.
Return of the Jedi.
Well, I got to tell you, I'd probably agree with him then because I feel that George Lucas had lost his people that said no to him by the time he got to Return of the Jedi. And transitioning the Wookiees into Ewoks, and instead of taking place on Kashyyyk, it takes place on Endor. I just was really annoyed by that. And I couldn't stand the Ewoks. Even when I was young, I couldn't stand him. I also didn't like what he did to Harrison Ford's Han Solo, making him goofy. And I just, it was the weakest of the trilogy. It really is.
It was.
Yeah, it's still stronger than everything else, though.
Oh, it's stronger than
that.
It's stronger than the prequels. It's stronger than the. Well,
that movie really is.
I know only parts that are stronger than the sequel trilogy. But
look, Return of the Jedi.
What?
Return of the Jedi is only what happens in the throne room. That's it.
Yeah, that's the best part of the film.
Yeah, that is the best part of the film.
And I loved the theme that Williams wrote for that battle when it gets emotional.
Yeah.
Oh, boy, that was
good. Yeah.
Best part of the whole fucking movie.
Yeah, and the humming music when Luke Skywalker's being electrocuted.
Yeah.
That's great.
Well, the entire scene, period, the entire scene, the entire score of that in particular is the price of admission for Return of the Jedi. But, there were so many problems with the film that I had that I'm just like, how did this come from Empire Strikes Back? And what it is, he got a weak director who he could control, is what happened. And Keith and I have talked about this before. Also, the guy that had kept the reins tight on him wasn't working with him anymore.
Yep.
Say his name. Say it, Keith.
That's producer
Gary Kurtz.
There we go. Thank you, Chinatsky.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for
I was
saving
giving him
Keith
room,
from
and it's like
his senior moment.
Yeah. Gary Kurtz was incredible, and he was very responsible for keeping everything going.
Keeping the reins in
direction.
on Lucas, because he was the guy that would go, Lucas, hey, George, come on. And it caused conflict because George didn't like that. And he felt restricted. So when he got the Return of the Jedi, he had enough money that he had made because he sunk his own money into that. Very intelligently, sunk a lot of his own money into it. And so therefore, he was taking less and less, or I should say, more and more control from other people and putting it into his own lap. But then again, remember, this is the guy that said the prequel trilogy was about Jar Jar Binks. He was the central character. And it's like, he has great ideas. He's a skyscraper guy. George Lucas has always been a great skyscraper guy. And he has relied on other talents to rein in his ideas to make more sense of it. Indiana Jones was really, in many ways, thanks to two other people other than George Lucas, and that's Steven Spielberg and what's his name? Just forgot his name. Lawrence Kasdan. Lasden?
Brandon.
Or Landon, the script writer.
Lawrence Kasdan is what I said.
Oh, Kasdan.
And then you said Lasden. I'm like, what the fuck are you saying?
I was trying to remember. It was like something along the lines of this. I'm trying. Okay.
Yeah, but by the way, I saw some people popped in here. Sander Hammerslag is here, popped in, and he's the one who pointed out it was Gary Kurtz too. And Gary Kurtz is the reason why Star Wars and Empire are the two best Star Wars films, and Empire, period, is the best Star Wars film ever made.
Period.
And
yes,
that's fan picked. So I got into that argument on Jace's channel with his fucking co-host back in the day, and I actually called him a fucking idiot when he tried to say that the prequels were as good as Empire Strikes Back, and I'm like, you really believe that?
When
and
you're
says,
high,
I believe that.
The prequels are a good story told badly. That's what I view.
And just so you know, that episode will never be seen ever because Jace was so fucking freaked out by my verbal tirade on him being a fucking idiot, his co-host. I went, you're a fucking idiot. You really believe that? You're a fucking idiot. Well, what makes you think? I said, votes by the fan base, you dumb fuck.
No,
Numbers
the
matter,
prequels,
you fucking idiot.
The prequels retroactively became better because they were next to shit.
Yes. well. Before that, Clone Wars really elevated the prequels. But when you compare it to the sequel, then you say.
I'll say something that some people don't like. I really don't care for Ahsoka Tano.
Oh,
neither do I.
I do.
Yeah.
You're just turned on by her boobs. Stop.
What the
spreading your propaganda?
I believe in what George believes, which is that she should be dead, because by keeping her alive, then you really undo what the whole Order 66 thing is. And so, I know that there are certain people out there that disagree with that, but that really is, for me, I mean, it's about the story. And
when I die, the last of the Jedi you shall be, except for Ahsoka Tano and Cal Kestis, and just starts naming a bunch of people because too many people fucking survived Order 66.
Here you go. This is important.
Yeah,
no
I don't know. I don't subscribe to that because that's more stuff put forth by Kennedy. The thing is, Abrams did have a plan. It's just that Kennedy didn't like the plan. And so she and her friends changed the plan, and he quit because he wasn't going to go through with her plan.
Like Darth Vader. Pray I alter it no further.
It makes even less sense because she signed off on that shit in the first place.
Yes. Well, she had to because Bob was looking over her shoulder. See, that first movie, she had to go along with that because Bob was looking over her shoulder. So when it came time to make the movie she wanted to make, she didn't like the fact that JJ had a plan that didn't focus entirely on her
Identity
personal insert.
politics.
Oh, that too. But her personal insert into the film. And so, in not doing it the way that she wanted, she found a director dumb enough. I mean, she found a director that was going to give her everything she wanted
Dwayne Johnson.
and follow orders without asking any questions at all. And so she went with him. And basically, in exchange for Johnson doing what he was told, he had leeway to do certain things that he wanted to do. And it turns out those certain things he wanted to do involved characters that she didn't care about, so she didn't care if he did it.
First draft. First fucking draft. You never do the first draft.
Well, unless you're Kathleen Kennedy. You know, it's that simple. It really is not that difficult to understand. And then you have a script written by the person who was originally going to direct that film that actually ends up using the mess that you made of the second movie and still found a way of at least elevating that. They get rid of that, bring back JJ, and they end up making what they made. Of course, now it looks like Kevin Feige to the rescue to make sure that the rise of Palpatine is no longer the most expensive F up in the history of Disney releases. So
what I don't understand, if George cared so much about this, like he didn't get it put in the contract that they'd actually use his treatments. He's just like, oh yeah, here they are. Yeah, we'll totally use these, George. It's not in the contract, right? It's not in the contract. Yeah, totally will use them, George. As soon as George walks out the door, in the trash they go.
Yeah. Well, again, it's they had no trouble in doing that, and it was something that Bob Iger admitted to in his book, the one that he put out when he thought he was going to go for higher office and also leave, so that
he wanted to be president of the United States.
Yeah, so he admitted to everything. It's like, oh, it's all true. We did this.
The hilarious part about it is thinking about it. That's all the stuff he wanted people to know about. Imagine what he's trying to hide.
Well, a lot of that got taken care of when Chapek was gotten rid of, and the governor decided, hey guys, seems like you got something here you're not supposed to have. I think we should readjust this. That way we make things a little more fair down here. You know. And Bob Iger was too dumb to realize, he got caught in a trap.
Whatever. I mean, between Star Wars, Star Trek, hey, we're coming the red letter media meme. What's it like to watch all your favorite series crash and burn? Feels pretty good.
Yeah. It is possible to rescue Star Trek, but what I can see is that a lot of these really talented people who are fans, if you are the showrunner of this new show, you should just use all this talent that's out there, all these writers who are fans. Get Bryce Ribwell and J. Michael Straczynski and Brandon Braga and Ronald D. Moore, and just get them to write episodes.
Create a round table.
That's right. Yeah. You create your writer's room that you're going to use. Then you bring in the big guns to show these writers how to get it done. And you build the rest of what you're writing around the episodes that they've written.
But why would they do such a thing? You know what's going to happen, which is that they're going to bring in their people to do their spin on things because that's what they always do.
Right.
I don't think you could get someone like J. Michael Straczynski to go along with it if that's really what your intention is. I don't think you can get him to even write for you if it turns out your writer's room is filled with a bunch of people who have decided we're not going to do that. You know, my whole thing is if you use the proposal the way that it is written and you go and do as R&B has said, you get some advice from people like JMS and others who have done this for science fiction and other shows, and you understand what is required, what the fan base really wants, and then you turn around and you have all these famous people who are fans of Star Trek, you get them to write episodes. I think you could.
You get back to the old school way of doing things. Is getting guys that are good at science fiction writing science fiction. Don't get some activist doing it.
That's right. And then that shows them that you got to work up to approaching this level, because to me, when you are putting together your writer's room, okay, these are definitely all people that you're going to have working with you, hopefully for the life of the series. Bringing in someone like JMS is kind of like just going out to get yourself a ringer for a bit. He's not really a part of what you're doing, but you bring that person in to help elevate everything else that you're doing and to also show your writers this is what we want and what we expect out of you. You know, that's what you do.
Well, yeah, you should do. I'm going, it's Skydance, right? So what are they going to end up doing?
Skydance is about a 50-50 company, by the way. Hey, I got to go, guys. I hate this, but before I go, because Keith hasn't heard this yet, this is the song I wrote about Zoe and her being born and all of it. It's all done in metaphor. But if you didn't know, my daughter had a miscarriage last week, and she ended up going into emergency surgery on Monday. And it just really hit me hard. And
that sucks, man.
That's my baby. You know, I've got 3 kids, but my daughter is like the shit to me. And so I had put this song together, and I finally produced it sort of as a gift to her. And she got all weepy listening to it. And so here it is. It's called Learning How to Map the Human Heart.
Not Christopher Columbus, no Marco Polo could navigate the stormy seas when they were all alone. I'll need the navigation and an inkling where to start, with the intricacies required to find my way to your heart. Ooh, 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 ooh. My heart is pounding, my chest is heaving. I have never felt this love and the power it is wielding. I am frozen, my chest exploding. Rays of love light up the night, and I'm ready for the fight. You are my only life of my life. And I will do what is needed, because I need your light. And I will draw the lines while the compass does its part, so I can finally learn the way to map the human heart.
Very good.
You're muted, Jerry.
I like him this way.
Thank God, because I said fuck you to all you guys. No, I didn't. I said The song will be made available this weekend, but it'll be released on the album on December 5th. So
Cool. Well, listen,
I have
next time you see her,
21 of 24 songs right now mastered. And I'm waiting for the last 3. So,
well, the next time you see her, give her a big hug and kiss from me, okay?
Well, I was hoping to see her today, but the car's not working. She got her dream car. She got a Mini Cooper, or the new version of the Mini Cooper. It's not a real Mini Cooper. The Mini Cooper is the original, but still, it's her favorite car. She just loves the Mini Coupe, and she got the one with the double hatchback that opens like a wagon instead of like opening this way. It's 2 hatches. And she loves this thing. It doesn't fucking run anymore. It has to be worked on. So she has no way of getting here for today.
They are famous now for that.
Yeah, breaking down. And, Lauren offered for us to go get, and I'm like, no. I don't know. Nobody needs to be, because gasoline's crazy price right now, even here in Missouri. So I said, we can tolerate one Thanksgiving apart. So I'll be talking to her on video phone today. Blade Runner vid phone.
It seems you do not like our Thanksgiving.
You do not like our Thanksgiving. Nice Blade Runner. But I'm going to get going because the woman of my life that I love, it's like I have 2 females in my life that they're the center of my universe is Danny and Zoe. So, as long as they're happy with me, I'm a pretty happy dude. Oh, I will. But I won't say hi for Martin.
As I say, it's just that, she's feeding you estrogen so you can be a bigger pussy.
Oh, no, I just get big boobs. That's all that would happen with that. But for Shinatsky, I'll say, Shinatsky said, I'll never make it.
No, tell her I hope she's doing well, and she'll make it. Gary won't.
Oh my God.
Yeah, Danny hates it when I say this to her. I said, "You're the woman that I've decided I want to die with." She goes, "Stop saying that." Oh,
like, if we were alone on a desert island, I would want you to be the one to eat me.
Wow.
Do not write postcards or.
I'm looking at it, Jeebus. I watch Keith and Martin don't watch the chat as much as I do. I'm always checking to see what you fuckers say. I read everything you said. That's why I laughed when the music was playing. I chuckled at that line right there. Templar maps.
Let's see what.
Oh.
So I'm out of here, guys. I'm going to go hang out with the woman I love.
Holy fuck, Jesus. What's wrong with you, man?
What? Wait, what?
I just saw the picture that G was put in the PCM members chat. What's wrong with you?
That chat. That chat is what. Okay, hold on.
Holy.
PCM members.
Is it on Twitter?
Chat.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, and PCM club members.
You know what the problem with Templar maps is? They're always hanging around.
Oh my God, that's fucked up, dude.
Never change, even.
I'm gonna give that to Animo. She'll like that. Wasn't that originally Kramer?
What?
That was an image of Kramer as a chicken, as I recall, wasn't it?
Oh, okay.
From Seinfeld. I'm pretty sure.
He was like a turkey.
He was basting himself in butter.
Yeah, and Newman goes insane because he smells so good.
He smells so yummy.
Wow.
And then he needs to hydrate so he can debase himself.
Fucking comic relief crusader showing up at the end of
Oh no, he has been there. Has been here for a while now.
Female booby inspector.
Yeah, see, I like booby better than body. I do. I really do, because I love boobs. I like boobs.
I thought you
I've
were
always been a big
turtles.
fan of them. And and it's
Me
not
too.
enormous boobs. I just, I've always had that rule in my life that anything more than a handful is really a waste. But it's not that I don't appreciate it, because they're nice to look
Hey.
at. But
Hey, you know what? I started to talk to this little girl online, and then she told me she works for the FBI. How cool is that? Little girls are getting up in the world.
the fuck are you talking? All right. I need to go do some heroin or something to get this out of my system, this conversation. I'm going to go shoot up
Wow.
right now. All right, guys. I'll see you later. Happy Thanksgiving, man. Everybody
Happy
in the
Thanksgiving
chat,
to you,
too.
bud.
Happy Thanksgiving. And I will see you guys on the flip side. Adios, guys.
See, yep.
Absolutely.
3 buttons. I got to click 3 buttons to leave here. That's ridiculous.
Why? You just click Clip Studio and you're out.
What? One of my other favorite ones, the internet, where the men are boys, the girls are boys, and the boys are FBI agents.
Wow. Well, wow. That's all I have to say.
You broke it, Janotsky. I hope you're
I
proud.
Yeah, my mind has gone a little sideways. Jeez. Well, I guess that's it for today's show. I can't follow up with Gary's offered up. All I can say is that if you get a chance,
Keith, wait,
yeah.
you're breaking up. You're breaking up badly.
How about now?
Still is.
can
I guess it is a good time to end.
How about now?
Better.
No, yes or no?
It's a little bit better now.
Okay. Well, let me end this by saying to echo really what Gary said. I wish everyone a really, really happy Thanksgiving. I want to thank Shanatsky. I want to thank Martin because, you guys rock. I also want to thank Andy Morrow, Brandon the anime guy, Jeebus, just because, Gene Roddenberry, Sander Hamstag, Slag, the Comic Relief Crusader, because, he's cool like that. Mrs. A, the lovely Penny, Tom Baker, JC, baby! Snortopoulos, Mephisto, Lord Toth, Gap After Dark, and everyone else that actually just decided to come and spend just a little bit of time. Hopefully you are either about to or have had or are having a very, very good Thanksgiving. So on behalf of myself and really my family and everyone else, I'd just like to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving again and have a fantastic weekend.
Peace.
Well, wait. Let our audience say their happy Thanksgiving. And with that, see you again when we can.
Y'all come back now, you hear?